Kieran, we're going to be here boxing Bants. I'm really happy here to be joined by European and World Kickboxing Champion Dave Ryan. Dave, you've just really recently been approved for your professional boxing license with the BOI, and you've signed with Ian Cochran, and of course you're going to be coached by Sean Kelly. Uh, Dave, 27. What was it that made you want to switch over?
I've been kickboxing a long time. Last 15 years I've been competing for 15 years. So I just wanted something different. And my last fight, I was sparring all the lads that were boxing. I was sparring Lee Reeves. So I was focusing more on just my boxing. And then I was picking up injuries with my legs just from kicking. And I was like, I kind of think it's time. And then I just started falling out of love with kickboxing and started to focus more on boxing. And then that was kind of it. I tried to sign just before COVID to turn boxing, and then COVID happened and it just put a hold to it. So I've been just training for 2 years flat out. So now everything has came out. Now I'm ready to go. The sooner the better, kind of way. But it was just kind of injuries, stupid, silly injuries that turned me off it,
Mm.
And then boxing now it's better for me, I think.
Mm. It's a few lads have turned over, just like Jamie
Yeah.
Morrissey as well. But interesting enough, Aaron O'Reilly turned over just at the start of COVID, and you were actually scheduled to fight him.
Yeah, I was.
I think it was like the 8th of March before
Yeah.
COVID, and I think he had turned over then, just around that time. Did that fight not happen because of COVID or because he turned over?
We were scheduled to fight on two times. One in Limerick and one in Dublin.
Dublin
Now,
was the one just before COVID, yeah.
yeah, so we were meant to fight a few weeks before that, and it was kind of silly little things got in the way and just kind of stupid kind of things. But then we were meant to fight in a different show, and it was about 2-3 weeks out. He broke something in his foot, and no, I know when you have a fight coming up and something like that happens, it happens, but it's not your fault. But we were meant to fight then, and it just never happened. And then he's gone back kickboxing now.
Hmm. Hmm.
But he's done boxing, but it just never happened over COVID and kind of silly little things. But
Yeah.
you know,
Were you surprised when he turned over? Because you probably had in your mind at that time that you were thinking of turning over as well.
yeah, I was surprised by it. I was really surprised by it. I don't think boxing suits him.
Mm.
I really don't. I think he's a better kickboxer than a boxer. And I was when he turned pro boxing, I was like, "Fuck, this is going to be an easier fight for me."
Mm.
Because I was the minute he signed pro, I was like, "Fuck, get me this fight. I want this fight." It's like, let's get it going.
Yeah.
Because he's a southpaw now. He's good, but his hands aren't his main thing.
Hmm.
His hands aren't his thing.
Yeah. You've been training in Sean Kelly's gym
Yeah,
for quite a while with the likes of Graham, Jamie, Siobhan.
yeah.
Um, was that kind of where you've kind of developed your love for boxing?
I've always had a love for boxing. Like if you go back through any of my fights, my legs have never done much for me. It's
Yeah,
always been
I actually watched one this morning, and I like, even for a kickboxer, you could see that boxing is you seem to be
it's my
a bit like Jamie, like Jamie said, like when he was kickboxing or Muay Thai, everyone was saying to him, you're more suited to the
yeah.
boxing, and you can see it in you as well. Even after you threw a few punches, I saw you doing it, rolling under a punch.
Yeah.
Do you mean, which usually you wouldn't see.
No, you don't. You
Do
don't.
you know what I mean?
But
And I was like, geez, that fella's definitely a boxer,
yeah, so
Um,
like I would have preferred to start boxing, but there was no boxing club where I'm living.
mm,
And like my mom never worked my mom didn't drive when we were kids, so it was kind of a bit hard to kind of be in and out of doing this and this. So there was a kickboxing club and I joined it. Now I'm glad I done it because it gave me everything I have now, And I still think there's a long way to go, but I'll get there.
mhm, mhm.
So like the
Yeah.
movement the movement I have is kind of
Mm,
it's similar to boxing, but it's a bit different. But there's not much in different, I don't think.
mm. Have you been sparring many boxers?
Yeah. I'd spar Lee Reeves a good bit now. I'd spar Graham a good bit too, I have.
Hmm.
But I was up in Coliseum last week or this week, and then I've been up there before sparring Gary Cully. I have.
Yeah.
No, that was a different story. We all get into that one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like now that I'm properly boxing, it's just going to be focused on that, like more sparring good guys, better lads than me, So heavier guys, bigger guys, smaller guys. I don't care who I spar, like as long as they're better than me.
Yeah, yeah. And if I'm right in saying, Mel from the BOI gave you your license after watching you spar Senan.
Yeah, yeah,
And apparently you did very well in that one, if
yeah.
I'm right in saying. Were you nervous?
I was, because I didn't know what to expect. I've never came across Mel, and I've heard stories of Mel. Oh, he can be strict enough. Like, you're not going to just walk in and get a license. So I trained hard to get this, like, so I didn't just walk up like, oh, I can get my license. Put my head down and trained hard for it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And I know Senen's good. He's a pro. He's undefeated.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I know he's just coming back from injury, like, but he's still a good lad. He's a serious talent.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of, okay, put the head down. After the first round, I was like, okay, now I need to up it. Let's show him I am good.
Yeah, yeah.
So that kind of, it worked in my favor too, because I wasn't just, it's only a spar. I'm walking here, I get my license. Oh, I got to work hard for this.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good that way.
You signed with Ian Cochran. Was that more so from good words put in from other lads in Limerick? Was that kind of where it came about?
It was actually, right? Just before COVID started, I was talking to Leonard and Steve from Boxing Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
And I was meant to sign with them, and it was just kind of dragging out. Up until a couple of weeks ago, I was like, man, I'm going to call this a day, I was like, I won't bother. I'll probably go back kickboxing or something like that, And then I started talking to Graham. Like, Graham was like, here, I'll have a word with Ian. And then within a week or two, Ian got on to me, and it's just been all go. Got my license within 2 weeks with him. So everything is just perfect with Ian, like, at the moment. So it's great.
Yeah, yeah.
And every time you hear something about him, it's all good things.
Mm-hmm.
He really looks after you.
Yeah, yeah. What was the conversation you had about you, like your, because the great thing about you lads coming from kickboxing and Muay Thai is that you've experienced them just the best fighting the best very quickly. And Jamie is kind of testament to that, because he fought Robert Burke in a second pro fight, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
And he's already fighting for a BUI title coming to his fourth fight. It's mad, like, but so what was the conversation you had with Ian in regards to what your ambitions or plan is?
He rang me. He was like, what's the plan? I was like, look, if I get 1 or 2 fights this year, I'd be delighted. And then next year, kick on. Like, I've had 4 round, 12 round fights already, like, in kickboxing. Mm-hmm. So I have big rounds under my belt as it is. Like, I've had 60, 70 fights. So I'm not just walking away with, I have a couple of fights, I have a couple of titles. I have a lot of experience, I've been training for 15 years solid. So I don't want to walk in and like, oh, fight this guy, he's 7 and 25, or, I don't want many of them fights. I want 1, max 2, and then fight big lads. I want lads that are on top of the ladder. I don't want to be like, oh, have another fight, 10-0, you fought nobody though. I'll fight top lad next if I had to.
Yeah.
I don't care who's in front of me as long as I'm fighting.
Mm-hmm.
The busier I am, the more active I am, the better I get.
Mm.
And Ian's delighted with that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, big time. Well, everyone, the fans are always delighted with that, especially like Graham and Dominic fighting the weekend. Like, it doesn't matter what level you're at. Like, everyone loves a 50-50 domestic fight. Like, it's great. Like, and it's what the island needs. Like, it needs more of. But like, so has he told you about like your debut? Is there any plans to have it here, Scotland, UK, anything like that? Is there any?
There's been 1 or 2. Belfast has been mentioned in September, and hopefully that goes ahead, because it gives me plenty of time to kind of work on things and trigger things, get my weight right. If that's right, I'm perfect. So. If it's September, that's 100% perfect for me. After that, it's perfect too,
Mm-hmm.
So
you had won titles of kickboxing at 65 kilo, but I think you were going to fight Aaron at 62, if I'm right.
64, I think, was fighting Aaron at.
All right, okay. What weight are you looking to campaign at in boxing?
Same, 63, 64, and if it goes down the line and I get heavier or if go lighter, it doesn't bother me. You know, I've made lighter weight classes before, so you know, I'm capable of it.
So, yeah, so 63 basically.
Of course.
So you're talking light welterweight.
Yeah,
So that's the likes of like Lee Reeves as well. Shannon. I know Tony McGlynn is fighting James McGivern at lightweight, but he's never really fought there before, so that's another one. There's loads. Declan
yeah.
Geraghty.
It's a big, nice weight class. There's plenty
Yeah,
of good lads in it.
yeah, Declan Geraghty, and there's a lot of domestic lads at lightweight would fight between the two weights. Jake Haney between lightweight and that. Yeah, Jake Haney's another one. Yeah, so there's plenty out there domestically, like, which is great, and it's great that a lot of like Butch as well as Ian has some of those lads under him, so it's easy to make the fights.
Yeah,
You know, it's very
it's way
easy to
easier.
make them. So yeah. Have you been to any pro boxing shows lately?
I was meant to go to the one in Belfast the weekend, but I just had so much on. If there was 100 of me, I couldn't have been in enough places. It was the worst weekend I could have had to do something or go anywhere. But I
Yeah,
was to the one they had in Cork there about 2, 3 years ago, and Graham was on that show, and there was
yeah.
a few other lads. So I've been to a few shows,
Hmm.
but I was over to the Michael Conlan fight there recently too. So I've been to, you know, I follow boxing. I'm in love with boxing, like, so it's all the one. Like, you know, I'm constantly at it. I'm doing it. I live the sport, you know, so it's all the one to me.
Yeah, yeah. Who I have to ask you this before we go. Who was your favorite boxer growing up?
Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah,
Without a doubt. Yeah,
still is to this day.
to this day,
Yeah.
it won't change. It won't change.
That's good. That's good. Good. And like, has it always been your first love? Even though you're kickboxing, you always watch boxing.
Yeah, it would have been boxing, boxing, boxing. Like, it was because there was never a boxing club here.
Yeah,
If there was, I would have been boxing. But then a couple of years ago, there was one here for maybe about a year or so. But I was so busy with fights coming up. I had a world title fight. I had the world championship. So I kind of didn't even go near the boxing club. I was just focused on my fights that were coming up. And the time my fights were done, the club was closed. So I didn't stay too long, but it was still there, you know. But I was never to it. And now we've opened our own club here in Shannon ourselves. So
yeah. And I'm right in saying that I think your partner used to box as well. If
he
I'm right.
kick, yeah, kickbox. Oh, my
But
girlfriend, yes. She would have fought high level too. She
yeah,
was
yeah,
she was 2-time Irish champion now, but she's kind of packed it on the head. Does a small bit here and there, but you
yeah,
know
yeah,
yourself,
yeah. I think it's always easier for boxers when the other half has done it as well. Like
way
more.
easier, way easier. But
um,
it's good though, you know, because
yeah,
even at home, it's all training, training, training. So it's kind of understandable, you know.
yeah, of course, yeah, and the social aspect and alcohol, all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
is always, yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, so last thing I'm going to ask you, Dave, is what do we expect from you?
A couple of knockouts, definitely a couple of knockouts. I don't plan on doing these big crazy rounds. I want to get in and get a good few knockouts out first, and then fight good lads.
Yeah,
I expect fireworks.
yeah.
I'm ahead in the game, and it's going to be good.
Right. Well, Dave, I really appreciate your time and thanks very much for the interview. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you soon. I'm sure I'll see you very,
Definitely.
very soon at a show.
Thanks for having
And
me on.
yeah, yeah, no problem at all.
Really
No problem
appreciate
at
it.
all. Thanks very much, Dave. Thanks.
Cheers, bye.